Ever heard of a bird dodging bullets? Well, 1930s Australia saw its military, in all its glory, outwitted by emus. Economic chaos, desperate farmers, and a bird that just wouldn't quit. Trust me, this isn't your usual war story. In the aftermath of World War I, Australia was grappling with its identity. Soldiers returned home, their minds scarred from the trenches, only to be handed plows and told to cultivate the vast lands. The government's grand idea was simple: turn these battle-hardened men into the backbone of Australia's agricultural future. A noble thought, but as we'll see, not without its complications. The world was still reeling, and soon the Great Depression cast its long shadow. Australia felt the pinch. The economy tanked, jobs were scarce, and those once promising wheat fields, they weren't quite the gold mines the veterans had envisioned. The government had made promises, incentives for these men to grow wheat, but as the depression deepened, those promises began to waver. Amidst this economic turmoil, nature played its hand. The emu population saw a surge. These birds, usually coastal, began migrating inland. Their path? Right through the wheat fields. It was as if nature itself was mocking the efforts of these veterans. Here they were, trying to eke out a living from the land, and now they had to contend with a horde of hungry emus. In essence, it was a perfect storm. Returning soldiers, economic despair, government promises, and emus with an appetite. The stage was set for one of the most bizarre conflicts in history. Australia was in a rebuilding phase. Veterans were given land, a pat on the back, and a simple directive: grow wheat. Sounds straightforward, right? But nature, in its infinite jest, decided to throw a curveball. Enter the emus. These birds, typically found wandering the outback, suddenly developed a taste for the cultivated lands of Western Australia. Thousands of them descended upon the wheat fields, treating them like their personal dining halls. The damage was extensive. Emus, with their impressive speed and agility, tore through fences, trampled crops, and generally made a mess of things. It was less of an invasion and more of a chaotic dine and dash. Farmers already grappling with the challenges of the land now had to contend with this feathery menace. Initial attempts to control the emu population were, let's just say, less than effective. Scare tactics? The emus weren't buying it. Physical barriers? The birds treated them like minor inconveniences. In their desperation, the farmers turned to the government. Surely, they thought, the might of the Australian military can handle a bunch of birds. Oh, the optimism. But, as we'll see, underestimating an emu is a rookie mistake. The government, perhaps seeing an opportunity for an easy win, or maybe just underestimating the sheer determination of a hungry emu, decided to intervene. But, as history has shown time and again, things rarely go as planned. So, after the emu's impromptu feast on the farmlands, the government, in its infinite wisdom, thought, how hard could it be to deal with a bunch of oversized birds? Let's just say, a little harder than they thought. The government solution? Deploy machine guns. Literally, they handed the reins to Major G.P.W. Meredith and his 2 gunners. The mission seemed simple: show these birds who's boss. But the emus? They weren't just going to stand around waiting to be target practice. These birds, with their Olympic-level sprinting skills, dodged bullets like they were in some action movie. And the soldiers? Well, they quickly realized they weren't dealing with your average bird. These emus were fast, agile, and had a resilience that would leave anyone in awe. The battles were for the lack of a better term, a comedy of errors. Picture this: soldiers with machine guns, taking aim, firing, and missing. Again and again, it's like the emus had been taking dodging lessons. And when the guns did work, the emus just shrugged off the bullets and kept on running. There weren't even reports of the guns jamming. It's almost like the universe was saying, maybe this isn't such a good idea. But the real kicker? After all the ammunition was spent, after all the efforts and the planning, the final score was underwhelming. The emus, with their zero military training, had outmaneuvered one of the world's most formidable forces. Emus 1, military 0. It's not every day you see a bird outsmart an entire military operation. In the end, Operation Emu was less of a military campaign and more of a lesson in humility. And the emus? They probably just went back to their business, leaving the humans to scratch their heads and wonder where it all went wrong. Now, if you're thinking of emus as just oversized, goofy-looking birds, it's time for a reality check. These creatures are marvels, and their triumph over the military wasn't just a fluke. Starting with their anatomy, emus are the second largest birds on the planet, standing tall at up to 6.2 feet. Their long legs aren't just for show. Each leg has 3 forward-facing toes equipped with sharp claws. These legs are not only built for speed, but also for delivering powerful kicks capable of fending off predators. Their eyes, large and positioned on the sides of their heads, give them a wide field of vision. This panoramic view ensures they can spot threats from almost any angle. It's like having built-in surveillance cameras. Internally, emus have a highly efficient respiratory system. Unlike humans, they can take in fresh air during both inhalation and exhalation, ensuring a continuous supply of oxygen. This means they can run long distances without getting as winded as their two-legged pursuers. But it's not just about physical attributes. Emus have a social structure that played a role in their survival. They often travel in groups, and when one bird spots danger, it alerts the others. This collective vigilance made ambushing them a challenge. Their diet also played a role. Emus are omnivores, feasting on a variety of plants, insects, and small animals. This diverse diet meant they could sustain themselves in different environments, from forests to open plains, making them harder to corner. Lastly, their nomadic nature. Emus don't settle in one place. They're constantly on the move in search of food and water, covering vast distances. This mobility made it difficult for the military to predict their next move. In essence, the emus were not just running around aimlessly. They were leveraging their design advantages, combined with their natural instincts, to outwit and outmaneuver their human adversaries. It's a testimony to nature's ingenuity and a reminder that sometimes the most unexpected underdogs can emerge victorious. So, we've seen Australia's ambitious attempt to wage war on emus, but guess what? They weren't the only ones with the brilliant idea of battling birds. Enter China, 1958. Mao Zedong, the founding father of the People's Republic of China, had a vision to modernize China's agricultural sector. And in his grand plan, sparrows were public enemy number one. Why? Because they ate grain seeds, of course. Mao initiated the Four Pests campaign, targeting rats, flies, mosquitoes, and our tiny feathered friends, the sparrows. The goal was simple: eradicate these pests and watch China's agricultural output soar. Citizens were mobilized. The sounds of banging pots, pans, and firecrackers filled the air, ensuring sparrows couldn't rest. They literally scared the birds to death, causing them to drop from the sky from sheer exhaustion. But here's the twist. Nature, in its infinite wisdom, had assigned sparrows a job: controlling pests. While they did snack on grains, they had a voracious appetite for insects. With their primary predator out of the picture, locust populations exploded. The result? An ecological disaster. Crop-eating insects had a field day, leading to severe famines that affected millions. The irony is palpable. In trying to protect the crops, the campaign inadvertently decimated them. By 1960, even Mao had to admit the blunder, and sparrows were taken off the hit list. But the damage was done. The lesson here: nature's balance is a delicate thing. Meddling with it can have consequences that are, let's just say, not part of the original plan. In both the Emu War and the War on Sparrows, there's a common thread: underestimating nature and overestimating human prowess. And while these events might seem laughable in hindsight, they serve as stark reminders. Whether it's a machine gun versus an emu, or an entire nation versus a sparrow, nature has its way of keeping human arrogance in check. In the grand theatre of human history, our battles against birds might seem like comedic interludes, but they're stark reminders. Nature doesn't bow to hubris. So, next time you spot a bird, maybe just tip your hat and move along.